Welcome to this lesson on the Bitcoin Mempool. The mempool, or memory pool, is essentially a waiting room where unconfirmed Bitcoin transactions sit before they get added to the blockchain. Think of it as a queue where transactions line up, waiting for their turn to be processed. Understanding the mempool is crucial because it helps explain why some transactions are confirmed quickly while others take longer, and why transaction fees can vary so much. So what exactly is the mempool? The mempool is a temporary storage area where unconfirmed transactions wait before being included in a block by miners. When you send Bitcoin, your transaction doesn't immediately get added to the blockchain. Instead, it first enters this waiting area, the mempool, where it stays until a miner selects it and includes it in a new block. Once the transaction is in a block and that block is added to the blockchain, your transaction is confirmed and complete. Let's walk through how transactions actually enter the mempool. First, a user creates and broadcasts a transaction using their Bitcoin wallet. This transaction is then sent out across the Bitcoin network, propagating from node to node. As each node receives the transaction, it validates it by checking things like whether the sender has enough funds and whether the transaction follows all the network rules. If everything checks out, the node stores that transaction in its own mempool, where it waits to be picked up by a miner. Here's an important point to understand. The mempool is not a single global database shared by everyone. Instead, every node on the Bitcoin network maintains its own independent mempool. This means that different nodes may have slightly different transactions in their mempools at any given time. This happens because transactions propagate across the network at different speeds, and different nodes may have different policies about which transactions they accept. So when we talk about the mempool, we're really talking about thousands of individual mempools across the network. Not all transactions in the mempool are treated equally. Transactions are prioritized based on the transaction fees that users attach to them. High-fee transactions are like express tickets. They get processed first by miners who want to maximize their earnings. Medium-fee transactions wait a moderate amount of time, while low-fee transactions might sit in the mempool much longer before being picked up. This is why during times of high network activity, users often increase their transaction fees to ensure faster confirmation. There are several reasons why transactions have to wait in the mempool. First, there's limited block space available. Each block can only hold a certain amount of data, so not all transactions can be included immediately. Second, if your transaction fee is too low compared to others, miners will prioritize higher-paying transactions over yours. Third, transactions simply need to wait for a miner to select them and include them in the next block. And fourth, during periods of network congestion, when many people are sending transactions, the mempool fills up and wait times increase for everyone. There are three main ways a transaction can leave the mempool. The best outcome is confirmation, where a miner includes your transaction in a block and it becomes part of the blockchain. However, transactions can also expire. If a transaction sits in the mempool for too long without being confirmed, nodes may eventually drop it from their mempool. The third way is through replacement. Bitcoin has a feature called Replace by Fee, which allows users to create a new version of their transaction with a higher fee, effectively replacing the old one in the mempool. Let's recap the key points about the Bitcoin mempool. First, the mempool is temporary storage for unconfirmed transactions that are waiting to be added to the blockchain. Second, each node maintains its own independent mempool, so there's no single global mempool. Third, higher transaction fees result in faster confirmation because miners prioritize these transactions to maximize their profits. And finally, transactions leave the mempool when they're confirmed in a block, when they expire after waiting too long, or when they're replaced by a higher fee version. Understanding the mempool helps you make better decisions about transaction fees and timing when using Bitcoin.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.